So on Monday, I was on Instagram from my favorite Instagram page, Dream Journal Art Gallery, and basically I seen a post from Walt Disney Imagineering, mentioning about how since Monday was Earth Day, it's been about 70 years, I believe, 60 or 70 years since the 1964 to 65 New York's World's Fair when it first opened up in Flushing Meadows. And I remember making a comment on how, and I still believe this, like, if I own the Walt Disney Company and I would especially have control over the Florida location, I would bulldoze everything minus the Magic Kingdom in order to place in Walt's Epcot. Now, a few commenters and I kind of went back and forth and everything. And everything. Some, like, we agreed on some things, we disagreed on other things, but and I mentioned about this a while back on my Patreon page. You're welcome to become a member there at patreon.com/Dream Journal Projects to learn more. But I said all that to say that that basically when it comes to Walt's Epcot, compare that to the Epcot Center Park that's currently in Florida. Do I have anything against the Epcot Center Park? No. But just think of the name, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Like, it's not fair to call it a community when it's frankly a theme park or a quote-unquote permanent World's Fair. That's not necessarily a community. Now there is the argument made that some of the features of Walt's community may seem pretty dated today. In some cases, yes, but honestly, like, if you were to go on YouTube right now, check out the original Epcot YouTube channel. They have a more updated piece of the original Epcot film, and if you see the video showing the entire city, there are certain aspects of it that do seem like would be a little bit dated today. Not denying that, but yet the core principle, I would argue, is still ahead of its time. It's still amazing to me and everything, and it's sad that basically Disney is not necessarily spearheading. Now, I'm not saying that they should be the only company to make new technology. Like there have been other companies. There are still other companies. I'm not saying this because I'm holding one right now, but Samsung is right now taking the lead with smartphones and tablets, in my opinion. Apple, I'm sorry, you've been bumped to like third place. But and I could say this because I had an iPhone when I worked for the Census Bureau. But I said all that to say that like, a lot of these companies, they're not necessarily creating anything new and innovative anymore. And one can make the argument, oh, we don't have any, everything's been invented. See, if we go off the idea that everything has been invented, then that removes the idea of motivation and coming up with something new and everything. And one thing I have in my book series, Raymond Waters' Imagination, is trying to come up with new and different ideas. Like, one idea, for instance, I actually want to talk about in my newest book, Imagination at Sea. I'll put the link in the description. It's available on Amazon Kindle for $2.99. Is the idea of having an experimental youth program aboard my cruise ships. Now, the experimental youth program is actually based off of the youth program that I was able to enjoy aboard my first cruise aboard the Carnival Miracle. Now, at the time it was called Camp Carnival, now it's called Camp Ocean, but basically, it was the idea of, just getting the kids involved in, like, just a bunch of activity while the grown-ups go to, enjoy their recreation. The teenagers would go off to have theirs, and I believe what was called the Club O2 Arena. I don't know if it's still the same. If anyone has taken Carnival cruises more recently, just let me know your experience, whether it was good or bad. But I said all that to say that that basically the question comes, like, basically, I was trying to think while I was working on Imagination at Sea. I did some research on how teen clubs should be, what would be a good youth program, and for the youth program, I decided it's a lot of kids that just want to be with kids and not necessarily grown-ups. So we have that per se, but stylized in a way where you would have these AI robots portrayed as kids and everything that would look and act like regular kids, but would definitely create a more positive influence, more positive feedback and everything. So that way you would know them basically as friends and everything. And the idea is to utilize that AI technology to be able to speak with them even after the cruise, so that way you could have a friend that you could talk to whenever and stuff. Because the reality is, and I gotta say this, the reality is that there are some kids that are involved in these youth programs that go to school or whatever nowadays, go to school, go to church, and the only friends that they have are at school, because they could be either outcasted at home, going through issues at home, whether it's frankly physical or verbal abuse, being gaslighted per se, or any other circumstances that could be going on. So the idea is to create a bit of an environment, and that would make you more open to be able to enjoy being around the others and everything. I'm sorry, I just noticed the car across me. There's this cute little dog that's looking out the window and stuff. But yeah, it's just one of the many ideas and everything. And I'll say this, even with the two company towns in the imaginary empire, Powtown and Queensport. Powtown, of course, being the company town in the original Imagination Resort, that would be in a place outside of Roswell, New Mexico, and also Queensport, which would be where the RMS Queen Mary is now located in Long Beach, California. Basically, those are two particular company towns where I looked at inspiration from Epcot and other company towns that have come and gone. Like, one company town that came and gone and you know, has, of course, some backlash and controversy is Pullman, Illinois. Now, being a fan of trains and everything, I researched the history of Pullman, Illinois, and you know, it was innovative for when it came out and everything. Some modern amenities that, you know, are arguably still ahead of its time and stuff, and all was going well. But then there was an economic situation where the rent got higher, but the pay didn't get higher. Riots and strikes ensued, and a reported 30 people were killed. So eventually Pullman would be annexed back into Chicago. But I said all that to say that, you know, no, I am aware of the flaws of company towns and everything, and I'm not saying that Epcot would have been any different, but I still believe that Epcot in a way had a lot of potential. And you know, if the Walt Disney Company could have just built it and then see over time, you know, no, of course there could have been changes. Like, honestly, the things that wouldn't change, of course, is the Wedway People Mover. The monorail, like, I could see its rolling stock probably getting updated over time. Unlike the Mark 6 that's just really old and everything, and frankly doesn't look as cool as the Mark 7 variants in California. Uh, and what else? And just a few things that, could have, basically changed up over time with regards to how Epcot would be and everything. But altogether, or am I saying that the idea of the Epcot Center Park is bad? No. Like, don't get me wrong, I was able to go to the Epcot Center Park over 20 years ago, back in 2001. It was a few weeks before I turned 5 years old. And basically, I was able to enjoy myself and everything. And enjoy myself in Disney World, like finally getting to explore the park that I was able to see on TV several times, and to actually be there was awesome. To be at the Magic Kingdom, to be at Epcot, and admittedly we went to Universal, and admittedly everyone in my family agrees that we had a better experience at Universal. I'm sorry to say it and everything. I have respect for both Disney and Universal, let me say that. Especially with old school Disney. Old school Disney from the Walt era, and Disney from what I grew up on during the Michael Eisner era. Now, I know Michael Eisner is down to this day very controversial and everything. Granted, he's still alive. It's just the end of his tenure wasn't necessarily the best. But yeah, altogether, just a lot of ups and downs with regards to what he was going through. But yeah, altogether, like Epcot today, hey, I still believe that it would have been just a very nice place to be able to visit.